What's going on, everyone? I'm going to do a quick little intro here. We're going to jump into the DJI Action 4 settings that I use for underwater filming, and for a lot of filming, to be honest. I don't go crazy with that. And I'm going to try to record that on my phone. It's probably not going to look the best, but I just want to make sure everybody knows how to get to those settings. And then we're going to jump into a screen recording of DaVinci Resolve. I'm going to go through my complete editing process, which is not anything crazy. I don't do any color grading, anything like that, but I'm just going to kind of show you what I do, give you decent looking footage, kind of optimized for that YouTube upload to get the best quality with a reasonable file size. So check it out and let me know what you think. So the first thing I'm going to do is we're going to film in 4:3 aspect ratio, and you can do that in 4K or in 2.7K. I use 2.7K. I feel the resolution's high enough for what I need, and it keeps the file size a little smaller. And then we're going to film in 60 frames a second, and that'll let you slow down your footage. You can slow it down by half and keep every frame, or you can slow it down to a quarter speed and it'll still look pretty good, because you're missing every other frame. We're going to come over here and we're going to turn Pro on. Our exposure, it's set to auto with -0.3. That just darkens it up a little bit, keeps it from having any highlights blown out. I mean, it still can happen, but I feel -0.3 is a good compromise on that. ISO, I leave the full range on auto. White balance, we're going to use auto white balance. Color, I use normal. Field of view, wide. This is like your lens. Wide is going to be the biggest area you can cover without getting distorted underwater. Image adjustment, custom, and I just leave sharpness, noise reduction at 0. I don't have it do anything to the image. And low light, it's grayed out, but that's off. The last thing I do, hop over to settings here, and your video compression. So I use H.264. I feel like it's a little bit easier to edit. The compression on the HEVC, which is also H.265, just tends to be a little bit more resource heavy on the computer. If you shoot in 4K 4:3, you have no choice. You will be shooting in HEVC. So, all right, we're going to hop into the program now and show you what I do from there. Okay, so we're at the computer. We're going to open DaVinci Resolve. If you haven't used DaVinci Resolve before, this is actually a free program, and it's a very powerful program. They do offer a paid version, it has a few more features, but for most stuff, especially YouTube stuff, the free program is more than enough. So we're going to start a new project, and the program is going to open. If you haven't set up any pre-configured settings, that's the thing you need to do first, even before you bring in any of your raw video. So we're going to go to File and Project Settings. So now we filmed in 4:3 aspect ratio, which is a taller aspect ratio, but when we're done we want to finish in 16:9, which is more of that widescreen YouTube format. So my goal for my stuff is to keep the files as small as possible, but also maintain quality. So what YouTube does is, if you are under 1080p, which is this 1920 by 1080, you're going to get their codec, which is going to be a lower quality. If you're over it, you get their higher quality codec, and if you are right at it, you kind of get whatever they give you. So what we're going to do is find this 2048 by 1152 2K 16:9. So what that does is it's just a little bit bigger than 1080p, but it's smaller than your 2.7 or 4K footage. And what that's going to let us do is kind of zoom in and crop if needed, but also still maintain that higher quality. The next thing we're going to choose is we're going to be on 29.97 frames per second, and that's going to be, so it's going to be half the speed we're filming at. So the DJI Action films at 59.94, even though it says 60. So we're going to do 29.97. If you were to import it even at that 59.94, it's going to want you to turn on the drop frame time code, but that doesn't make a difference. You can, but I don't. Playback frame rate, that same 29.97. This video monitoring, you don't need to do anything with that. This is your proxy media. This is like what you're viewing in the editor. I tell it to choose automatically. It's gonna lower the resolution in your editor if it needs to prevent any lag while you're editing. I use H.264. That's what it's filmed in, so that's what I use. Choose automatically on the resolution, and I leave all of this at uncompressed 10-bit. So image scaling, we are going to do mismatched resolution files, scale entire image to fit, and then same down here, scale entire image to fit. So it's not going to zoom in on our 4:3 ratio footage. It's going to basically leave black bars on the sides, and we're going to have to do that manually. So that's pretty much it. Settings are pretty simple. We're going to go to File, Import Media, Desktop, and I have one clip here, raw, from the camera, just to use as an example. This is where it's going to ask you if you want to change the frame rate, because we filmed in 59.94 and our timeline is 29.97, and we don't want to change it. We want to convert our footage into 30 frames a second, so we have that slow motion available to us. Okay, so it's going to come up here. This is our, kind of scroll through, and this is our working timeline. So we're going to take this guy, drag him down here, and it just did whatever it needed to do for the proxy footage. Took a second, but we're loaded up pretty good. And you can see if we select this frame, we have black bars on the side because our footage is taller than 16:9. Alright, so I know this is a section where I was able to shoot a fish. So what I'm going to do is kind of get to this area. I'm going to come over and slice that, cut it, and then delete the beginning because I don't need any more than that. We're just gonna mute the sound because we don't need that. So this is the clip I had. This is when I shot the flounder. I had just checked the regulations on flounder and went back to find this flounder again. So we're gonna go until there's that flounder, and yeah, that's pretty good. Let's cut that, and we'll delete the end. So we got minute 44 right now of footage. So we can kind of scroll through here, or we can quickly scroll through here. So now, like I said, I filmed this at 2.7K 4:3. So right now, this resolution across the frame is bigger than our output resolution is across the whole thing. So it's going to allow us to zoom in without any quality loss. Alright, so there's that fish. You can probably barely see it. I think it's right there. What we're going to do is we're going to select this clip, open up our tools, and this will be our kind of our crop. So we're going to first turn this into 16:9. We're going to cut off the top and the bottom. So if I grab this and drag it out. So I didn't lose any resolution doing that from what I filmed in. I'm still filmed in that 2.7K. And this is the image I would have got. Exactly this if I filmed in 2.7K 16:9. I would have lost the top and the bottom. Now what this lets me do is say I'm filming and I miss some action up here. I'm able to actually drag this down, and you can see the structure here that if it were centered was cut off. So see the difference there? So now we're zoomed in. We're not really zoomed in. We're just back to what we would have been if we filmed in 16:9. So we're going to hit the play button here. You can see that flounder pretty good. And I'm going to, right before I go to shoot that flounder, we're going to slice there. And there's that flounder. Let's go just a second more. We'll slice there. Select this clip, right click, change speed. So if we change this to 50, we're now at half speed, but we haven't lost any frames because we filmed at 60 frames per second, but are on a 30 frame per second timeline. So now if we play this, it's slowed down and still 100% quality. If we wanted to, we can change that speed to 25%. It's going to slow it down below our frame rate. So it's actually playing every frame twice now. So we're at 25% speed with only a slight reduction in the quality. But if we had filmed this at 30 frames per second, this would be another reduction in quality. that's pretty much how and why I film at 2.7K 60. We can zoom in, you know, roughly 1.6 times. You know, you can still zoom in pretty well, and that's just kind of where I draw the line. And now you see how that fish went out of frame? I can correct that, still have the full image, and be zoomed in. So I'm zoomed in and slowed way down with no real loss in image quality. So real quick, export settings. You know, this program obviously goes way more involved than this, but I'm going to hit this deliver button. I have my export settings here. I export in MP4, H.264, encoders auto, timeline resolution, timeline frame rate. Quality here, I restrict this to 35,000 kilobytes a second. That's going to make, still for a fairly large video. Like I said, this video was a minute something, almost 2 minutes. Keyframes I just leave regular, and we're going to hit add to render. You're going to select timeline name. It's going to pop up over here, job 1. Hit render all. It's going to go through, give you an estimate. We have, you know, it's looking at a minute 35 left. This is, like I said, it's a minute and change video. So usually what I've seen on my computer, the length of the video is about what it takes to render it. You know, that if you have an older computer, it can take longer. If you're starting with 4K footage, it's going to take longer, you know, because it's going through and doing everything it needs to do. But this works really well for my workflow. You know, I can take an hour worth of raw footage, make my 15-minute video. Computer doesn't really struggle with it. It takes 15 to 18 minutes to export, and you get a file that's of reasonable size. You know, a 15-minute video might be a 1,500 megabytes, you know, a gig and a half, something like that. It's not, you're not trying to upload a 70 gigabyte video. You know, and if you wanna bump up your quality, the more information you give to YouTube, you know, the better export they'll put out for what actually goes in your channel, because they're going to recompress it. But there you go. So it took 1:23. Don't need to save that. And the file is 280 megabytes. So I hope that helped you out, and something you can use in the future. I know this isn't like my normal video, but kind of is what it is this week. Wind's really bad and haven't been able to get in the water. So appreciate you watching. Hit that like and subscribe button, and catch you on the next one.